Good morning, peace fam. Hey Travera, good morning. Thank you for being here, love. Thank y'all for joining me for another live. We're going to get into a couple things today and maybe a little bit more. We'll see. I want to talk about Kerrion Franklin, just my perspectives on some things. I shared a little bit on my community wall. And then I want to share a couple things that I found on LSA about. One of them is about a cringy therapist, and another one is about medication. So I want to get into those topics because I thought they were very interesting topics. So I hope y'all are doing good today. Chow, we just had a snowstorm here, and we got about 15 inches of snow. So, yep, that's what's going on for me. I don't know how your week is going. Hey, Sister Crystal. I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, I hope Sister Crystal's good. It's good to see you. Hey, Miss Dorian is blessed. Thank you for being here. Guys, I'm gonna try to mute my coughs as much as possible, but some of them might sneak out. So, I hope y'all week is good. There's so much going on, y'all. There's so much going on. Y'all saw on my community wall. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna really get into the I don't even want to say his name, child. The nature boy stuff because it's too much. And I think a lot of you guys know me well enough to know where I would stand on it. It's just so heavy. Even watching clips of that group and that man is very disturbing. So I like if you want to check out a couple of videos, I'd recommend. I think I watched Nick at Night. She has a couple of videos on the topic, and there's some other people as well, but that's the one that I remembered. One of the things that drives me crazy, this is just my own pet peeve, is when people just play stuff and they don't give commentary. Like there's this other dude, his name is King World, and he just played like so I felt like hours of footage and he wasn't really providing any commentary. That shit drives me crazy. Hey, peace, love, thanks for being here. Barely home. I'm sleepy. Thanks for coming through, sis. Thanks for coming through. You got to get some rest. But thanks for being here. Hopefully, we'll lively you up a little bit. Y'all gotta go over there and check out Peace Love Honey. If you need glasses, if you need some cute glasses, okay, go over to Peace Love's channel because she got the hookup. All right, thank me later. So yeah, with the nature boy stuff, it's just too much. I don't even have the energy to get into it. So I don't know how you guys are doing with it. I'm just really glad. What I'm going to say about this before we get into our first topic, I'm just really happy that his ass was arrested and those charges seem significant. Now, people were saying that they've been arrested many times before. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know he's been arrested. You're welcome, love. I didn't know he's been arrested before and his cult has been arrested, child. So let's hope these things stick because this is some really bad stuff. Yeah, I know I've talked about cults here on my channel before. It is no joke, okay? But anyway, that's all I got to say because I'll just get worked up and in a not good way. Anyway, moving right along. So I wanted to talk about Kerrion. Now I will give a disclaimer. I did try to look for any new information within the last 24 hours, and all of the articles I was finding were 2, 3 days old, sometimes even more. So, what I'm going to be doing is giving my perspective on a few things that I saw and excuse me, my understanding of it. What I understand. It's kind of very confusing. Another video I'd recommend you check out is I didn't get to see the whole thing, but it was really good. I listened to Cups of Conversation. She had a ladies' night. Actually, Peace Love was also on the panel, and they did a really good job breaking down. I actually got some newer information from her video about Kerrion. So check out that video. That's a good one because she broke it down. It was very concise because there's like a lot of videos out there. But y'all know me. I like to look at the articles first and then I'll check out videos. Thank you, Sister Crystal. So if you guys want a video about that, I would check her out. She did a good job with that. Yes, it was really good. And then I had to go after that. I didn't get to finish it. I think I got up to, but I listened to the Kerrion story, and I'm trying to think what happened after that. But it was good. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. You guys did a really good job. It was a good vibe too. I love panels like that with the ladies, and it was a good flow. So guys, listen, okay. Kerrion got arrested on April 10th. Now, if you guys saw a couple of my little mini reviews on the show he's on, Bad Boys of LA, actually he's my favorite person, because I feel like he's very quirky, and I just like to figure people out. So I was trying to figure out what he's about and what he's bringing. But yeah, I got aggravated with that show, so I stopped watching it. I have a very low frustration tolerance for certain levels of fuckery, so I was like, I can't do it. This is just too much. But anyway, so he was arrested on April 10th. Okay, now according to Kerrion, he said that initially he was pulled over because he had a broken tail light. Then it progressed into a whole bunch of other mess. Okay, he ended up getting arrested. Now these aren't, I can't say these are official charges. These are just things I've heard. A lot of the things I'm referencing will be from the live that I watched with Larry Reed, and I'm going to get into some of my thoughts about that as well. So I think he ended up getting charged with resisting arrest, possession of a deadly weapon, because there was a gun in the car. And that car at the time was linked to a young woman who, I guess she owned the car and is now deceased. She passed away. So it just sounds very sketchy, and it's a mess. Now, when I first heard the story, I'm not going to lie. Okay, I know I try to keep it real. Because I do like Kerrion, I felt biased, and I felt like, wait a minute, this sounds too crazy. I really hope he doesn't have anything to do with this. Let's hope this gets cleared up. This was my initial response when I first heard the headlines. But then as time went on, even though nothing's been proven now, I was just like, this is like, wait, there's too much muck and mire here. Like, this is crazy for you to be denying all of this. So I don't know. So anyway, so he was in jail. Okay. According to Kerrion, now some of this information, like I said, is from his interview with Larry Reed Live. If you want to see, I don't know if it's the entire interview, but a big chunk of it is in a video on Larry's channel. You can check it out. He bought a car. He's saying he bought the car fair and square from a woman over a year ago. To his knowledge, she was still alive. And he says that, excuse me, he's owned the car for over a year. It's registered, all that good stuff. Now, it sounds like he was very shocked when they started saying this stuff to him, like, because again, he got pulled over for a taillight. I also read in a article, I don't remember what website it was, Kerrion said that he's been pulled over before, and he's never heard anything about this. I had also heard in initial reports that apparently the woman was first, I think there was stuff going on. She didn't die right away, and then she eventually died. I don't know how she died. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know how he's connected. There's a lot of stuff that I hear. And like I said, I'm one of those people, I really like to find articles to verify things. But it seems like this story, it seems like our source for the story really is just Larry Reed. Now, from my understanding, I think Larry Reed is Kerrion's mentor and a family friend. I don't know. If y'all have been paying attention, you knew that there was some drama that went down last year with Kerrion and his parents, particularly him and his father, Kirk Franklin, and where he alleged a lot of stuff, guys. I did a video about this. If I remember, I will link it in the description after this. I did a video about the situation. He alleged that his father, I could have sworn he said his father had SA'd him. And then there was a whole nother situation that happened with that. So that's how I first really heard about Kerrion. Now, I think Larry Reed, like I said, he mentors him. Here's my issue, okay? And this is just me being honest. I'm not one of those people who worships other people. There's things that I can like about you and respect, but I don't care how many numbers you have. If I see something that's fishy, I'm going to say it. And I don't care who want to get mad. Like, that's just how I am. And if you don't know, now you know. Okay? Because people I feel like people have different rules for different people. And I'm not going. Okay? So anyway, the first thing that I thought of, once again, I am not in the legal field. Okay? But the little that I know, it seemed weird to me that Kerrion would be on somebody's YouTube channel giving an interview for charges that seemed criminal in nature. Okay. This wasn't a standard traffic pullover. Like, these are some big charges. And I still don't believe, like I said, I don't believe that until otherwise information comes out, I don't believe Kerrion killed anybody. That's just me. but we don't know. That's because I haven't, the information that's been presented is not enough for me, okay, to be like, oh yeah, he did it, or he got something to do with it. It seems sketchy for sure, but that doesn't mean he has anything to do with her death. So I thought it was weird and foolish that Kerrion was interviewing on social media about a case where he has pending criminal charges, okay? And I'm like, well, where's your lawyer, sir? What, do you have a lawyer? Come to find out at the time, I don't know if he does now, but he didn't have a lawyer at the time. He's answering questions. So I was just like, to me, regardless of what happened with him and his family, I don't know what's going on there. I'm thinking, I just try to think about, what if this was my family member? What if this was a cousin, a brother, or an uncle? I would be very upset if somebody was interviewing my family member while they were like there was like pending charges. Their lawyer wasn't present. I would just be really mad. First, I would be mad at them, like, what are you doing? Like, shut your face. And then I would be mad at the person interviewing them. Okay. Now, if this was just a person regular on YouTube that didn't really have a relationship with Kerrion, I would say, okay, this is just YouTubers being YouTubers. It's still messed up, but like, they're just being YouTubers. But I think what shocked me with Larry was Larry has a relationship with Kerrion. And I believe it is Larry's intention to probably shed some light on the story to help Kerrion, like because there's a lot of stuff going on. But I still felt like it was very exploitative. And here's why I think that interview was exploitative. Once again, Larry, I've never really watched him. The only thing I know about Larry is that him and Daryl Moore were beefing for a long time. It's just a messy situation, and thankfully, I think that got resolved now. I don't know if they're still beefing, but I don't really know tons about Larry. I just know that he does a lot of commentary about the church. I call it the church sector. He does a lot of commentary. A lot of people like him. But I don't understand how, if you know somebody, why would you do this type of interview? Like, my mind is still boggled. Why would you post this to social media knowing this man don't got a lawyer? Okay. Seems like it was pre-recorded, so you had time to think about it. Now, there's a lot of questions. Maybe Kerrion requested this. I don't know. But I don't know about what you guys think. I think that shit was dumb as hell. And it felt like, is this for views? And here's the thing. You guys have to understand, I'm looking at this from a perspective of, let's say, a confidential relationship, right? So as a therapist, right, even if a client gave me permission to tell their story, I just feel like if they're very vulnerable, there's no way I would come out here and do something like that. Like, I'll give you an example. So sometimes I see teenagers, that's one of the populations I see. And sometimes they tell me things that maybe a parent would probably want to know. But if it's not something that endangers their life and their well-being to a certain degree, like especially if it's their life, then I have to tell the parent. But there's a lot of things that I don't tell parents because I have to be able to build trust with the teenager. If I feel like it gets to a certain point where parents might need to know, depending on what it is, my first option is to talk with my client and say, hey, I really encourage you to tell your mom and dad about this situation. If it's not like super life threatening, but I think that they should tell them. If they say no, that's on them. If it continues to escalate, then the next step is, hey, it has now gotten to a point where we have to tell mom and dad. Do you want me to tell them, or do you want to be present while I tell them? Right? I will give them the option to do that. But there are situations, especially if a client wants to harm themselves in a way that's going to result in their death, then I have to tell their parent, right? Or if they want to harm somebody else in a significant way. So that's just one of the reasons. But to me, I try very hard to protect that information as much as possible. And so I just can't see like me just running my mouth to a parent like, yeah, you might want to know this about Samantha, and but don't tell her I told you. Like, it's just I don't know. I have a very different perspective on those things, and so to me it felt cringy. It felt like, why are you doing this? Especially if you have a relationship with them. If I was Kirk Franklin or his wife, I would be looking at him side eye. I'm just telling y'all the truth. I'll be like, yo, what? are you really here to help my son or not? Like, I don't know. That's just how I felt. I don't know what y'all think. Please, drop down and let me know. But I was very torn with that interview. And so since then, I haven't really watched any videos updating the situation. Um, because I just felt like that could really jeopardize him in a legal way. Like, it's not like your first interview after, things got squashed. This is very significant. So that's just how I felt. I felt like those charges were serious. I didn't like that Larry Reed was I didn't like that he did this interview, and I really didn't understand the purpose of the interview given the situation that Kerrion was in. That being said, maybe it worked out really well for him. Maybe it helped to kind of let's see, how do I want to say this? Like, put him in the limelight so that if the police do shady stuff and they don't do a thorough investigation, at least people know about it. So that's one other way to look at it. I don't know, child. I don't know, but I didn't like it. Now, since then, he's had a court. I think he's been arraigned. The last time I checked, he was still incarcerated. Okay. Now, the information I'm going to give you now is what I heard from Cups Live last night. In her live, she mentioned that I think Kerrion, at the time she did her live, she wasn't sure if he had bonded out yet, but that I think Larry and John P. Key had said that they would help him. If he was eligible for that, which I think he was going to be eligible at a certain point. I don't know. I couldn't find any information. I did some research. I couldn't find information about whether or not he, is out of jail or anything like that. Hell, I don't even know what happened, at the court hearing. It's just very tight-lipped information. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how there's no more information on this in terms of articles. So then, since then, again, this is information that was revealed in Cups Live. She said that in addition to the gun that they found in the car, which Kerrion is denying, by the way, Kerrion is denying that he owns this weapon. So that felt shady, because I'm like, well, if you owned the car for a year, how do you, like, whose gun is it then? Is it possible? Yeah, totally possible. I don't know where they found the gun. Excuse me. But she was also saying that I think they found 2 tasers or something. And I think this is in LA. They found 2 tasers. So those are also considered, I guess, deadly weapons or whatever. So I don't know, child. I don't know if the charges got updated. Once again, I think it's strange that we don't have any additional information on this, because y'all know, even TMZ, they be getting the tea, and I'm like, how does TMZ get this tea? Hey, Indigo, thanks for being here. But I'm gonna keep an eye on the story. Hey, Mixology Plus, Chef Fresher and Nugget, Grand Rising. Thank you so much, sis. Child, Chef is in the bush. He went today to boil maple syrup. This is maple syrup season, so he went out. We just had a snowstorm, so he went out to go check the taps and stuff and boil. Child, he's obsessed with maple syruping. And Nugget's doing great, thank you. So I don't know. This situation was just crazy. I'm still rooting for Kerrion. Until I get more information, I'm not gonna just assume, I do think it's shady, but I'm not gonna assume the worst. I think he said he thinks somebody's trying to set him up. I don't know. I just hope he gets a lawyer. Please, 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 please get a lawyer. Stop running your mouth and laba laba on YouTube. Mixology Plus said, I want some. It's so good. I want to try the frozen maple pops famous in Canada. You know what, Mixology? I haven't even tried that. Okay, isn't that crazy? I have not. I heard those are so good, where it's like the snow and then maple syrup. That sounds so. I haven't tried it yet, but it's nice to have your own maple syrup, though. It's really good. The first year, it had kind of like a weird taste, but then he got better, and after that, it's been very delicious. It's so good, guys. But child, I don't know. What do you guys think about this Kerrion situation? Do you think that he has something to do with it? Do you think he's set up? And what do you feel about his interview on Larry Reed Live? What are your thoughts about that? I would love to hear, because once again, I'm not trying to throw Larry under the bus. I just think that there's just things that I just wouldn't have moved like that. if I was helping somebody or if I was in a relationship with them. It kind of reminds me a little bit. Yeah, it's very weird. I agree with you, Miss Manny. It's very weird. It reminds me a little bit of, I remember, I'm not gonna say the names, but like I remember this one YouTuber. Well, I'll say his name, but I won't say like the YouTuber who did it. I think his name, what was it? Is it Ty? I think his name was Ty. I can't see. That's sad. I can't remember his name already because I used to watch him back in the day. He did reviews, and all I remember is he loved to say "My God." Yes, that's Kirk Franklin's son, Indigo. You nailed it. But anyway, he had died, and I think he had taken his own life. And I remember prior to his death, he had broken up with his ex. I think there were times that his ex was on his channel and joined him on interviews, like long before. And I remember his ex interviewed with somebody that we might know. And I didn't, to be fair, I think I clicked on the video back then just to kind of see. But I remember, I think his name is Ty. I remember Ty alleging that perhaps his ex, there was just some stuff going on. We're not going to throw around diagnostic terms because I think sometimes people overuse those terms. And I thought to myself, here is this man getting interviewed by a YouTuber in a sector that really doesn't like, hey, Mildred, Michael and Ty, thank you, Mildred. In a sector that doesn't really give a shit about people, okay? Not all, but some. And I'm like, it was so clear to me that this was just about the click and the view for this person. Like, they didn't know the partner. And then I also side at the partner because I'm like, sir, you weren't even together anymore. Why are you interviewing on this person's platform about your, like, it was just weird. It gave me cringe. And so there are times that I love interviews. I love watching people get interviewed, but there are some things that feel very exploitative to me, and it bothers me. It really, really bothers me because I think some of it's inappropriate. Like, that's just, again, I have a different perspective than some of y'all about things because of what I do. I'm very protective of people's stories. I think that if the person is telling their own story, that's on them. That's their choice, even if it may not be in their best interest. Like I said with Kerrion, at the end of the day, nobody made you do it. You decided to do it, and you have a right to tell your story. I don't like when people co-opt other people's stories and make it about them, especially depending on the situation. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just really, that was an example of like feeling really cringe about seeing certain things on here. Like, what? I bet you didn't even watch that, man, girl. Indigo said, Kerrion saw that played a part of why his son is lashing out and doing all these things for attention. This story has so many layers, it would be hard to dissect this. I definitely think you're making some great points. Now, I wonder, I'm actually wondering, I wonder how Kirk Franklin and his wife are responding to the situation, even though they're estranged. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I'm still in shock by the allegations that Kerrion said, last year. Hey, Wildcard, it's very nuanced. You're so right. It has so many nuances. It's so many layers to it. It's crazy. But Kirk Franklin definitely gets the side eye as well because I'm like, well, sure, it could be a situation where Kerrion is attention seeking and none of that stuff happened. But I'm inclined to believe that there's some truth in that to some degree. Obviously, he doesn't have a good relationship with his father, and a lot of people are also, excuse me, a lot of people are also saying that they think Kerrion has mental health issues. Now, my thing is, like I said, this man is very quirky. I'm not saying it's not possible. I would like people to be more specific about what pieces of Kerrion's behavior indicates that he has mental health issues. What are the concerns that you think are going on? That's just me. Mildred Ratchet said, now Mike is on Twitter catting around. Exactly. And I'm not surprised, Mildred. And I think it just felt like this does not honor your ex. You guys weren't even together. Why? Not that he doesn't like I think they were married. I believe they were married. Not that Mike wouldn't have a good perspective to share. It just felt, just looking at his face And just looking at the way he just seemed like it was about him, and it bothered me. It really bothered me. But you know, that I digress. Wildcard said this combo has. Oh yeah, sorry, I did read that wildcard. Good to see you. Mixology Plus said I feel the same way about it after telling someone something in private, and they went live the next day and spoke on it. Totally inappropriate. Absolutely, Mixology Plus. Although they didn't use my name, I felt exploited, so I can't imagine if it was. And you nailed it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This right here is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, we can't, somebody shares something with you in private and we want to decide, well, I'm going to publicize this even if I don't say it. Like, it's just wrong. I don't think that is, I think you need to, like, it just feels wrong. And even if, like I said, because Larry seems like a smart enough man, even if Kerrion wanted this, I would, if he's truly his mentor, he could have said to him, look, I don't think this is a good idea. I think because anything you say could be used. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. I believe in keeping people's stuff private. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna tell y'all an unrelated quick story. You know, there's somebody that I ended up blocking, and I was telling a friend of mine, like, you know why I blocked that person? It, like, even though things didn't end well, I blocked them because I didn't want to see them saying crazy shit. Because I've like emailed with them and stuff. I didn't want to see them talking crazy, and then it ended up being ugly, us arguing online. And I was like, if I've actually talked to you all outside of here, I don't want to be, I don't want to be going back and forth with you in a video. I really don't. And so I just ended up blocking that person because I'm like, now I don't even got to see if you're talking shit. I don't even got to see if you're being shady. It's just done. We're gonna move on. and and that's just how it is, because I really, it makes me sad when people, I'm talking about if they actually had some type of relationship, even if you wouldn't say it's a friend, it just feels messed up when people they're just so quick to divulge things that people have told them that are private. I can see people getting mad and like roasting each other or something, but you know, telling people's personal details is very weird to me. Like, that's weird when people come out here and do that when they beef, and that's just me. But you know, and people are dumb. They see this shit happen, and then they rush to go be friends with this person, even though they see what is happening. I don't know, child. That's just how I feel. Misogyny Plus said my voice and name used. I couldn't watch LR for that reason. See, because you were triggered, sis. You were triggered, and this is what it was giving me exploitative. I don't care who want to get mad. Okay, you know, it's that's just how I felt about it. Once again, I feel like some people, when they get to certain levels, it's almost like people are saying, well, don't talk about them. Don't, like, you know, don't, like, if there's anything negative, that's fake. That's really fake. I can disagree and not be disrespectful and not like try to be disparaging. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be honest. I don't like that shit. Don't tell me how the fuck to feel. If you don't feel like that's what they did, that's fine. Don't tell me how to feel. Larry was very irresponsible bringing that on the tube. Point blank, period. Thank you, Mildred. Thank you. Somebody else sees it. I'm telling you, like, I see it. Because I was just like, is feminine self, Mildred? I just don't understand. Why would you even do that? And that, like I said, he's his mentor. He said he's his mentor. That's not protecting people's stories and information. That's wrong. Mixology Plus said, after watching Bad Boys Club, I would agree he has some issues, more daddy issues, but he's definitely has some issues. Yes, I only watched up to the second episode, and it was very weird seeing his response to, I mean, those guys were out of pocket anyway. The guys on there who claimed they were hetero and was just forcing him to like identify his sexuality, just stupid shit. Why is that any of your business? It's just dumb. People are dumb. But anyway, it seemed like he was like having a meltdown, which I could understand to some degree around that topic. And it was sad. It was very sad because I'm sure if his parents know anything about I think he's allegedly bisexual. At least that's what I was getting from it. You know, in the Christian community, child, not all of them, because there's churches that are more accepting of the LGBT community, which is awesome. But like somebody like his dad and his mom, they're not going to be accepting. They're going to try to keep things hush hush if he's bisexual. And I'm sure, I don't know. It just makes me wonder about like what he's gone through with this family. Indigo said Kerrion may have mental illness, but that's not the main cause of his downward spiral. Yeah, I mean, I think he does have a lot of childhood stuff. I mean, to be estranged from your parents in that way, and I'm wondering how does he feel like going through the stuff? Like, has his parents contacted him? I don't know. It's weird, guys. It's very weird. Anything he could say could hurt his case. Absolutely, Mildred. And that's why I'm like, Larry was just reckless for that. He was absolutely reckless, and why would I want to mince? I don't know. That should be making me mad. Hey, Zion Movements. Good morning. Grand Rising. Mixology Plus said, be right back. Got to make a call. No problem, love. Indigo said, I can honestly say I never told me oil poop anyone's business, whether it's on or oops. I think it was, I can't, I'm trying to see what you said there, Indigo. Never told me. I know you'll probably retype it. Grand Rising. Shout out to my members. I appreciate y'all so much. Indigo said, I can honestly say I've never told anyone's business, whether I'm cool with that person or not. Excuse my last post. Oh, you're fine. Girl, you're fine. Sometimes I'll be writing, I type really fast and then that happens to me. And that's the thing, we have to maintain that integrity. You know what I'm saying? Like there's, one of the people that I had fallen out with, that was one of the reasons why I knew I would never, ever, ever be in relationship with them again. Number one, they threatened me. And number two, they were not only did they lie and make up a bunch of stuff, but I was like, wow, you're so quick to start spilling things that you think I should be ashamed of. And the funny part is I've never really told that person anything significant personally. And so it made me wonder, wow, what if I had actually told you some personal stuff? Like you would have really, it was very interesting. I always pay attention to that. And I'm like, this is never going to be one of these things where we're cool again. You know what I'm saying? Like you showed your whole ass all over me not doing something that you thought you wanted me to do. So many red flags. So pay attention, guys. Pay attention to people who behave like that. Once again, people fall out. Sometimes we say things we don't mean. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about like getting mad and like saying some stuff. But when you start spilling people's personal, private business, you know what I'm saying? Or something that was a private conversation with you just because you're mad and you want to quote unquote win. Watch out for people like that. And that person ended up harming themselves anyway, because I didn't have nothing. There was nothing for me to be worried about. That person ended up doing themselves in with, running their mouths to 50-11 people. So that's just my thoughts on that. Zion Movement says Kirk Franklin said he was delivered. Zion Movement, I cannot. It's crazy. Mildred said, all for a coin and a view, child. Exactly. Exploitation. And that's what I don't like. We have to be careful. There's a difference between getting the tea, getting the story, and being exploitative. There's a very fine line. Once again, I think there are really powerful interviews that I've seen with people on here. And that really, either it surprises me about the person, like, wow, that person went through a lot. I'm so glad they shared their story. Especially like, domestic violence victims, things like different things. When people are, I shouldn't just say brave enough, because it's not just bravery. Just because you don't share your story doesn't mean you're not brave. But when people feel empowered to share their stories with a larger group, I think that shit is powerful because it's their story and they're telling it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's different. But I think there are times that you see people on here and they don't give, 9 out of 10 days of the week, they calling people fuck niggas and nigga bitches. And then on the 10th day, we're gonna have this interview. We're gonna interview this person about their life. And it's like, stop it. You don't care. You can tell people who actually care about people's stories. Okay. You can tell this is part of why I've thought about, excuse me, in the past when I've done certain topics, mental health topics. This is why I don't do like, call-ins and things like that. Because sometimes I get worried that people will say things, not just like off the wall things, but things that they regret. And when it's people's sensitive stories, like I take that shit seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm just very sensitive with people's information. And I that's why it bothers me so much when people cross the line. or co-opt people's story. They run with this. Like, did you ask that person permission to share their story? Another example is when Justin Jay came on here and he had announced that he had HIV. And I'll never forget, there were so many people who did videos like within minutes of him making this announcement. I'm not even know if they watched the whole video. This is back when I really liked Justin J. Justin J's too. He has good commentary, but he's just too negative. So I had stopped watching him years ago. And I'll never forget, a whole bunch of people made videos about Justin J within minutes. They didn't even give themselves time to digest the information. And those people to me felt like you're just taking this person's story for a click and a view. Do you really care? Have you really sat with it? Have you really thought about how this is impacting this man's life and why he decided to share this? You put out a video 10 minutes, 5 minutes after his announcement. No, this is about you being the first to talk about it. He already broke the news. Are you breaking the news or are you reacting to it? Some of them weren't really reactions. Some of them was, let me get this video out because it's going to trend in the algorithm. Because Justin J is hot right now. Anyway. Wildcard said Kerrion and Larry are both exploitative. Oh, I don't know who Kerrion is, Wildcard. You got to school me. It's just different levels of exploitation. They both are fill in the blanks because I'm tired. It just, that just drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy. Zion said Larry Reid has an exploiting spirit. In my opinion, he has calculated spirit as well. Very calculated. I absolutely agree with you, Zion. Absolutely. Indigo said, I'd rather not speaking to someone who I don't get along with anymore. All that is just malicious and holding on to bitterness. I may be a troll, but my real life is peaceful with hardly no drama. Facts. LOL. Indigo, I agree with you. See, what you just said is how I remind myself to conduct myself online. Because sometimes people will pull you in. Sometimes you could feel pulled in and you have to regulate your own emotions to say, is this how I would behave in my everyday life? Is this the type of shit that I want to deal with in my everyday life? And quite frankly, this is exactly what I tell myself. This is not what my life looks like. It's not constant drama. Sure, there's stuff that comes up sometimes, but my relationships aren't in disarray every day. Okay. So why would I, and this is why I said I started blocking people. I just start blocking people because I'm like, because listen, I got a mouth on me. I can, people, they get it twisted. Okay, they get it twisted. I can spar with the best of them. Okay, there's nobody here that scares me. There's nobody here that I think is better than me, that I think they can say stuff. No, but you have to pick and choose who you want to, who you want to get into it with, and how long you want to get into it with people. I had, I know a couple months ago, I don't even know how long it was, child. Somebody just kept trying to get my attention. I don't even watch them. I don't watch them, but they keep mentioning my name and talking shit. And I only found out because of somebody else's video. And so it's like, to me, sometimes you do want to cuss somebody out, but I'm like, why do I need to give this person? I've already made a video about you and told you how I felt. Nothing has changed since that video. So do I really want to keep making videos addressing you? No, ma'am. And so sometimes you just got to ignore people. It's hard, but sometimes you just have to. Zion said also Kirk Franklin's son may have developed his mental illness diagnosis due to childhood trauma. That's what I suspect, Zion. I'm with you there. I suspect that. I think it's definitely childhood related. Indigo said, why is Larry Reid in drama? That's all I know him for. Now I don't know what Larry Reid has to do with Kerrion, but I guess I don't want to know. That he said, I think he's his mentor. I think, hey, Miss Tiva, I think he's his mentor. And this is why I said it felt even more cringy that he did that. Because it's like, well, how are you protecting this man? This seems like your channel is more important than, making sure this man's legal situation works out. Like, he wasn't even, child, I can't. If people don't see it, I don't know why. Mildred said I could see Larry sitting around a bunch of women, sipping lemonade, being all gossipy, child. I could too. Wearing skinny jeans, white patent leather shoes, and crop top. I cannot with Mildred. I'll be getting my life from Mildred's comments. It's just messy, and we have to be careful. we have to be careful who we decide to share our story with. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just certain people I love when they interview people because I know this is a genuine person that cares about human beings. You know what I'm saying? Do they usually have substance on their channel? Absolutely. Okay. So if you interview somebody and they have a powerful story, plus that's the person there, I love that. I love it, and I excuse me, respect it. But when I see some of these other people out here, okay, and then here's another thing. Somebody interviewed with somebody. They got the initial interview, and then here come five other people. I want to interview you. I want to interview you. It's yeah, it is money driven. Thank you, Miss Tiva. To me, it's like, well, what like, unless you're skilled enough to um ask certain questions that you felt you wanted to know about the person that wasn't previously revealed in the interview, what is the purpose? What is the purpose? I don't understand. Miss Eva said, I had to really step back to keep my mouth shut and stay in a positive mood. It's hard. It's so hard. You know what I'm saying? To do that sometimes. And it's just like, and this is what I said, this is why I said some people don't like me on here, and I don't give a fuck. Pardon my language. I'm never going to kowtow to somebody. First of all, I don't know. If I don't know you personally, if I haven't even talked to you, okay, if I'm not even in your chat like that, or I just don't have any type of relationship, whether it's online or offline, I don't have a reason to be worried about what I'm going to say. I don't know Larry. What I saw was exploitative, and that's how I feel about it. And the people that get mad can write in their journal, period. Larry Reed is Kerrion's mentor. Poor Kerrion is doomed. Yes, and as I'm saying, this is not mentor behavior. It's not. It's just not. Mixology Plus said, lose your soul, gain followers. No, thank you. Exactly, Mixology Plus. Exactly. Some people will never understand that because they don't have that type of integrity. They don't have that. They're just blinded by just the views and the dollar signs, and it's very sad. But anyway, let's move on because I talked about this topic much longer than I had planned to, and I want to get into some other things. So the next couple things we're gonna get into, some of them are a little intense. They're not like celebrities or anything like that, or like people that we might know. Oh, sure, Indigo. Oh my gosh, I am so bad with that. Let me see. I'm terrible with this. I need to get it together. I'm gonna try to do it while I get ready for this next story. So, child, I read a couple things on LSA, not the beef sector thing. I told y'all there's more to LSA than Miss Tiva just dropped another video. I've been enjoying her crime story updates. They've been good, guys. Make sure you check it out. Child, sometimes I read stuff on LSA and I I talked about him really briefly in the beginning, Mixology Plus, really briefly, and I was saying before how he just drains my spirit and upsets my life, and I get triggered. There's just certain levels that I get really triggered. Like, I can handle a lot of stories, but cult stories like that, where there's like sexual abuse and things, I can't. I feel like I'm gonna get real dysregulated. And act a damn fool. So I'm not gonna go in depth about it, but I did talk about it in the beginning. For iPhone users, yes, no problem. Thank you so much for liking the stream. It helps broadcast reach more viewers. Thank you, Sister Crystal. I appreciate you. That's another thing I'm bad at. Please hit the like button if you like this video. Okay, it does help it to go farther. I am terrible at reminding people to do that. It's also okay if you want to hit dislike if you don't like the video. It still helps. Just rating the video helps a lot. So please help your girl out, okay? And please rate the video before you leave. So let me pull this up here. So sometimes I see stuff on Lipstick Alley, and sometimes I sit back and watch, sometimes I respond. Really, really good topics and posts sometimes. And there's a couple that really caught my eye. So this first one that we're going to talk about. Now, my little disclaimer, I really don't like to talk ish about other therapists. So that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to excuse me, it's to help other people if they're in situations like this, or if they come across situations like this, like if you're in therapy, to know what to do, because this really, it really sent me. I could not believe this post. If I didn't see this text message from the user, I would be like, there's no way this happened. Well, that's not true. I wouldn't say it's no way it's happened, but there's no way it happened like they said. Okay. So I'm gonna read y'all this. Um, this was on LSA. It is an incognito post, so I don't have to worry about. I try not to give names and stuff because you never know, right? So the let me see. I'm gonna put it up here. I don't know if y'all can read it because it might be too small. I'm a work in progress, y'all. I gotta get my skills up. Okay. Now before we get to this horrific, horrific post. Child, I mean this text. I'm gonna read you what the person said. Okay. Excuse me, the incognito commenter said, and there's a lot in here to unpack. I'm going to read their posts. Then I'm going to read you what the conversation between them and the therapist via text. Then we'll unpack it. Okay. I've been through 3 therapists this past year trying to get help for my bipolar and PTSD. This woman has been my therapist for about 5 months and has offered me no real advice besides I need to move out of my parents. No shit. Our last 3 sessions were basically patronizing me with, oh my God, that's so sad, or you're doing good. Sessions consisted of me and her venting. I want to read that again. Sessions consisted of me and her venting. No way I should know all this lady and her family's personal business. You're right about that. No real insight or ways to help with my depression, no guidance, no critical thinking, just breathing exercises and homework to identify triggers. It's really hard for me not to like respond while I'm reading this, but I'm going to just stay the course. But no advice on what to do when I get triggered, just trash. I thought I found the one because she's a black woman after having 0 success with white women. I thought she'd be able to relate more. She just wanted a check, and I thought I was too dumb to realize. I suspected that as soon as I called it quits, she completely confirmed it. This is what the text is about when this client wanted to end therapy. Excuse me. It's so damn difficult to find a good therapist, and I see why people give up or simply don't try to get help. I know it's a process, but goddamn, I've been trying for years. No way it should be this difficult. I have Medicaid like most low-income families who probably need the most help, so I can only imagine how many more of these therapists like her don't give a fuck about their job and are just taking advantage of people. It's a effed up system. I'm disappointed in her being a black woman because she knows the struggle. She had her mind made up that my problems were just weren't significant because I live in the suburbs with my parents and I'm still being taken care of in some ways. So I'm just a brat and I don't need help. I'm so disappointed. I want her license revoked. Now, if that wasn't enough, that's a lot there. And I'm going to read your comments. I know I'll get back to it. It's a lot there, honey. Okay. I'm going to read you what she wrote to, well, I'm assuming she, but it may not be. Thank you, Sister Crystal. I'm going to read you what she wrote to her therapist via text and what the therapist wrote back. He or she posted this in the post. The person said, I think I'm going to explore other options. This is what's in the green for other therapists. I appreciate what you've tried to do, but I don't think it's the best fit. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best. And then the person puts a heart emoji. Now, I want to say that was a very gracious response from the client, and they did a really good job. And it could be nerve-wracking to say that, right? To say it's not a good fit. So I'm really proud of that person. They did a good job. I don't think they said anything wrong. Now I'm going to read you what the therapist responded, and then we're going to unpack all this, okay? Hopefully that it can help somebody. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Not a problem. I wish you the best. Just the grammar is atrocious. Not a problem. I wish you the best. I am not the one with several problems. Did you catch that? Fix you and find your identity and go to God. And maybe God can help you. Until then, no one can help you. Be well. I really do wish you the best. And she put best, BEZT, period, BEST. Just gonna have a moment of silence. hmm I'm just gonna highlight Mixology Plus's response here. Ooh, child. I can't wait to read your comments. Okay, I cannot wait to read your comments. I'm just highlighting them because I just know it's gonna be good. Excuse me. Now, let me take some water here. Take a sip of water here. When I read this shit, I said, "Lord have mercy." Okay. Now, my goal here is to unpack things that the client said and things that the therapist said. But first, I want to say, before we unpack anything, that this therapist was 500% wrong for their response to this client who said that they no longer wanted to continue therapy. Who said that they no longer wanted to continue therapy because they didn't think it was good fit. Like I said, that client was very gracious in their response. I can tell they thought about it for a while. Okay, I can tell they wanted this to work. And when I saw this shit, I was just like, I got to talk about this. I think I've read this like last week. I got to talk about it. And then I was like, no, I don't want to. There's actually the text message contains that person's name. I took it out because once again, I'm not in the business of trying to ruin people's career, but this lady is like so wrong. This is so damaging. Let's get back to the client's post though. We're gonna unpack the client's post and then we're gonna unleash on that therapist because this is absolutely under no circumstances should this woman have said this crap. Okay. So back to the post that I read from the poster, which is the client, saying that they had 3 therapists in the last year. Okay. And she felt like they felt like the therapist was being condescending in their responses. Oh, you need to move out of your parents. I don't know if that's the way it was said, but I can believe that based on this text message that the therapist was telling her directly to move out of her parents' house, which is like again another flag because you can kind of mention it or like suggest it to some degree, but you really can't tell your client what to do. You can say, have you thought about moving out? But you shouldn't be like harassing your client to do something because it's their life. You're there to guide them. You're there to unpack things with them. You're there to help them get coping skills. So I can understand why that woman was annoyed. Okay. Now, again, disclaimer, everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes we mean well, and sometimes it doesn't get conveyed in the right way. So I'll also give her the benefit of doubt. But yes, that's the first thing. She said in the last 3 sessions, the therapist had been saying what she felt to be patronizing statements like, oh my God, that's so sad, or you're doing good. So it sounds like she was the level of responses, it wasn't hitting for her. It didn't feel like she was getting anything out of it. Now, here's my one critique for the client. She then goes on to say, no real insight or ways to help with my depression, no guidance, no critical thinking, just breathing exercises and homework to identify triggers. You can't say all of that in the same sentence and say that you weren't given any insight and you weren't given any tools, because breathing exercises are a tool and homework to identify triggers is also a tool to help you explore, unpack, and to make solutions. Okay. So that's the one thing I disagree with. And then using the word no advice on what to do when I get triggered. Her helping you identify your triggers is part of that process. Did you do the homework? Again, this might sound harsh, but like sometimes clients think that we come in there with a magic wand. We don't have a magic wand. It's a collaborative process. However, this is the only thing that I have to criticize about this is I felt like, and I've been to this before. I will literally go through every coping tool I have to help a client with anxiety or depression. And they either will practice, some of them will practice, like I have clients who will practice it, figure out what works with them, and sometimes they can find something that works and it's great. And then other people will just do it once and be like, it didn't work. And it's like, well, I've given you a whole tool bag to choose from, right? Have you tried any of those apart from like when I assigned it for homework? So it can be a real challenge sometimes because, sometimes people don't realize there's other work outside of counseling that you have to do. But to say you weren't given any tools doesn't sound honest, because you just listed some tools that she gave you. But it sounds like this was not enough. And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes the things that we go through in terms of coping tools might not be the best fit for the client. And you need to listen to them. I can't keep telling you to go deep breathe during a panic attack if you don't find that shit helpful. That's just obnoxious. You know what I'm saying? Even though it might help 80% of people, 70% of people, maybe it's not helping you. And I need to, if you told me you tried it and you don't like it, I need to respect that. And I need to help explore other tools. So then she continues to lament about, it's difficult to find a good therapist, and it can be very difficult. And she really wanted this to work because this was a therapist of color. Now, you guys know I have encouraged, looking for a therapist of color if you're a Black person, when you can, especially depending on the issues you're talking about, right? Because they're going to be able to understand it on a different level. It just depends. Like if you're talking about racial injustice and certain things. Now, this is a case of like, I want to unpack that part too, because just because a therapist is Black or a person of color doesn't mean that they're the most qualified. Okay. I still recommend looking for them when you can. You can therapist shop. But that is so true. Like that does not guarantee you will get a good therapist. And this person actually, based on, like I said, I redacted her name, has a doctor in front of her name. So this person, I'm guessing there must be a psychologist, that would be my guess. So they have a even higher level of training to some degree, right? So must be very disappointing for this client. This client said they're on Medicaid. And so sometimes when you're on Medicaid, that you have you have an even more limited pool to pick from in terms of therapists, right? So many things going on here, a lot going on. Don't worry, hang in there, guys. I'm coming back to read your comments. I just want to unpack this because y'all know I'll be getting distracted. Oh, yeah, I want my mouse. Hold on, my mouse is. Child, hold on a second. Maybe my battery died. Hold on. Okay, good. Okay, sorry. So, that is what the client said. I just summarized pieces that I felt I really feel for them, because I really think this client wanted it to work. I heard that. Okay. I also think this client was frustrated because it sounds like this woman was just repeating the same thing, and maybe even sometimes I'm getting that maybe she was a bit bossy. Other times it sounded like the client wanted her to be more direct. Another thing for you guys to know, if you've been in therapy or not every therapist is directive. Not every therapist, like there's different types of therapists and styles, right? Some therapists are very, I don't want to say passive because that's negative. That has a negative connotation. Some therapists will help you get to something in a roundabout way. They're not going to say, I'm really concerned about you being in this abusive relationship. I'm concerned that something bad could happen to you. You know what I'm saying? They might not say that. They may do other things, right? And then there's other therapists that are going to be more direct about it. Okay. There's a huge balance between being direct and being an ass. Okay. It's a very delicate dance. Okay. I tend to be, I'm not directive in the sense of I'll tell you what to do. I'll give you tools, but there are times that I might be more direct with a client, but that depends on the relationship. If I don't have a relationship with you, I'm not going to say certain things to you because it's going to be overstepping. We don't have a relationship. It's just like if you are trying to say something to somebody, you don't have a relationship with them, why should they listen to you? You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand there's different types. I had a supervisor that I consulted with, she's definitely more on the like passive end of things. Like she's never going to give you like a direct like statement about something, right? Sometimes that is helpful for some clients, sometimes it pisses them off. So kind of have to figure out the person's style. It doesn't mean they're a bad therapist. It just means that's their style, right? Excuse me. So let's get into this horrific ass text, because this is the thing that really got me. I felt so bad for this client, and I just was just like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. She said, not a problem. We're going to break this down line for line because this is horrific. Not a problem. I wish you the best. Okay, then she put a comma. I am not the one with several problems. First of all, that is some passive aggressive rude ass shit. Hey, red vines and popcorn. How the hell do you say to a client, I'm not the one with the problems? Good luck, bitch. Basically, that's what you're saying. Because your butt hurt that this client said, look, this is not a good fit. I'm finna move on. Okay? Your butt hurt, and so you tried to take a jab at this client, knowing damn well it probably took this client a lot to even write this. Some clients will just ghost you. They just won't come back. This client didn't have to text this woman. This client didn't have to say, oh, this is not a good fit. I think I'm going to explore other options. This client could have just deleted all the appointments that she scheduled, and you ain't never see her ass again, period. Okay? Which is their right. They don't owe you, and clients don't owe you anything. To, like, if they don't want to come back, the only way I would, some cases you might want to check in depending on how severe it is. That is their choice. And it's just so messed up that this woman said to her, I am not the one with not just problems, several problems. I mean, the shade is just so inappropriate. Then she proceeds to give advice. Fix you. First of all, what kind of therapist is using that type of language? Fix you and find your identity. So this is 1 directive, 2 directive, 3 directive, and go to God. Now, here's another thing. I cannot wait to read your comments. It's taking everything in me to not like click these comments to read, because I can't wait. First of all, unless this is a Christian therapist who this client knows this is a Christian therapist and this is what I'm signing up for, this is a type of therapy that I want, is religious Christian therapy. Why the F are you mentioning about this client going to God? Why are you giving her a directive to go to God under any circumstance, unless, once again, it is in the context of a spiritual counseling? Okay? She shouldn't even be saying this. What I'm hearing is giving me, you're broken. You're a hot mess. Only God could fix it. And why are you even implying that she needs to be fixed? This is just so wrong, guys. This is so cringy. Really, really bad. And then this lady said, and maybe God can help you. That is so manipulative. You're so fucked up, ma'am. This is what she's saying to the client. You're so fucked up, I don't even know if God can help you. Then she says, until then, no one can help you. Once again, butt hurtness. That's giving me butt hurtness. Until then, no one can help you be well. AKA, you can run around and go find other therapists if you want to. They can't really help you because you're a hot ass mess. That's what she's saying. This is so fucked up. Then she ends passive aggressively. I really do wish you the best, with a Z, and then corrected herself, BEST. This bitch can't, let me stop. This woman can't even construct a sentence. Okay? I'm just so annoyed. When I first read this person's post, I thought, well, damn, sis, you want to have her license revoked just because if you only read the post, I'd be like, well, I don't know if that's something to report her about. But when you read this text message, this is reportable. And I hate to say that, this is reportable. Do you know why? It's a huge mindfuck for a therapist to say, there's so many violations in this text. I can count them, and I won't. There's so many messed up, damaging things. One of the things in our ethics is do no harm. Okay? And this is hella harm. She just put so much doubt. She's like a fucking Valkyrie. Okay? She just made this client feel like you're so broken. You're the problem. It's you. It's not me. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm so mad, y'all. I am so mad that this lady did this. And I really would say this is something that you would report. If you ever have a conversation like this with somebody and they talking to you like this, and let me tell you how manipulative this lady is. She thinks she has so much power. This lady wrote this shit in a text message, which could be used as evidence. She didn't like you could just tell she didn't even think. She just responded. What the heck? Like, this is really bad, guys. And another thing I forgot to say is earlier on, not in a text message, in the post on LSA, this person said the therapist was venting with her. At first, I thought she meant she was like venting about her situation. She said, no way I should know all this lady and her personal business. Why does this client know about your personal business, ma'am? And if you decide to share something personal, it sounds like you're sharing it's drama. Your client does not need to know your family drama. If you're using it as a teaching moment, okay, it needs to be therapeutically relevant and it needs to be brief. If this client is using the word venting, that's telling me this therapist is stealing the client's time, talking about her own shit. I mean, this lady is bad. It's bad. At first, I felt bad that her name was in the text message. Like I said, I removed that. It's not in my picture. I was like, oh my gosh, is this real? I'm gonna read your comments now. What is going on with my mouse? It must be the battery must be on this last life because, child, it's acting up. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Okay, let's go back and read this. Excuse me. Wildcard said, being calculated and exploitative aren't the same. Unless you're calculating how to exploit someone, it's nuanced. Some people will actively weaken your position while strengthening theirs. That's absolutely true. She's right. Thank you, Sister Crystal. Thank you for putting the Canadian text as well. Zion Movement said she must have gotten her license from the Dollar Tree. This took me out when I read it. Zion Movement says yes, or she won it in a sweepstakes because this ain't it. And like I said, you know, any professional, anybody can make mistakes, but this is really bad. Like, this is like beyond like. I'm actually, if she's texting her, I think it's private practice, and that. Oh my gosh, I can't. Yes, wild card. Indigo said there are so many therapists like that person. A lot of human service majors not being properly trained. Facts. Human service with no empathy and or don't have the credentials to give advice. And that's another good point. So I've encouraged y'all before, okay, make sure if you know what you're going in for, if you can find a therapist profile, make sure that they try to see what they're saying about the training that they have for that particular issue. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's not, okay? I've also said if you're going in for trauma, this is my one thing that I say, a blanket statement I say, if you're going in because of trauma, I encourage you to find a trauma-trained therapist, period. Maybe you don't know all the different models of trauma training, that's fine, but make sure that they actually are trained to do trauma therapy. There's different types, and I'm saying this because even the best therapist with the best intention, that is just it's a very specialized area. And so they need to have certain training for that, because you might get a certain place, you know, like a therapist not trained in trauma therapy. It's not that you won't get anywhere, but you're going to get somewhere, you're going to get stuck. Somebody trained in trauma therapy is going to be able to understand and help you with the layers of unpacking your trauma. Just my 2 cents. When it comes to other things, make sure you look into what they're being trained for. It helps if they're licensed. I have come across therapists that aren't licensed that are excellent. Okay, so I want to put that disclaimer in there. But if they're licensed, that tells you they have X amount of hours of experience and somebody has supervised them. Okay, Once again, doesn't mean you won't run into issues, but that is just going to show that person has a higher level of training. Okay. Um, One of the things, I think I may have said this before, that grinds my gears. I cannot stand when people just come out of college, I mean, out of university, and they go straight to private practice. I think that shit is unethical. There's things that you need to learn. Um, and if you're doing it part time, whatever, while you're working somewhere else, is fine. But there's things you need to be super. You need to have a supervisor, because there's a lot of things that I learned about therapy that didn't come from a book. Okay, and so that's something else to find out. I would not recommend going to somebody who's fresh out of grad school and is in private practice. That's just me. Okay, that's just me. I'm just telling y'all, because they need to have, there's just more experience that they need to build. I think you should spend 1 to 2 years working for somebody or something, unless you're getting really intense supervision. That's the only way I can see you doing private practice coming straight out of grad school. You need to learn from other therapists. You need to be with other people. That's just my 2 cents. I would not have learned the things that I did if I went straight into private practice. I would have no accountability. So those are things to pay attention to. There's different types of licenses. So if you're seeing a licensed professional counselor, I think it's an LPC. I know in Pennsylvania that's what it was. But then there's also LCSWs. There's a lot of different licenses depending on what their degree was. There's different ways to check it. But I would really recommend that. PhD. So if it's a psychologist, a lot of people assume that psychologists are automatically better. I think it depends on their training. Once again, their training is still important. A psychologist is able to diagnose and assess. That is one of the things that differentiates them between them and a licensed professional who is a master's level counselor. So a master's level counselor is like, if they're really doing the work or they're licensed, they have a lot of training. A psychologist is awesome, but it depends on what you need them for. And really, the other plus there is they can assess. It's a lot harder to get into with them because there's not as many of them. But don't assume just because they have the doctor behind their name that they are more qualified. They're more qualified to assess and diagnose for sure. But that doesn't mean clinically that they are superior to a therapist, a master's level therapist. Most of the other training is similar. So that's just something I want to say. I don't know who this woman is. She is a doctor. I don't know if she's a PhD or if she's a PsyD. That's another thing. PsyDs it's more clinical training. PhD is research based. So it just depends. That doesn't really matter that much when it comes to clinical stuff. It only matters when it comes to certain positions. The other thing with a psychologist is they tend to be most of them tend to specialize in a certain area. So that's another plus. But it's going to cost you way more money if you see a psychologist. Just know that. So I feel like 9 times out of 10, you can get quality therapy from a master's level therapist. I would not suggest first of all, I don't even know in what state you could see a bachelor's level therapist, but again, it depends on their regulations. I would not recommend seeing somebody for therapy with only a bachelor's degree. The only people that I understand that are allowed to do that is if they're doing, I think drug and alcohol work does not require a master's degree. I'm saying this because it has to do with how much experience and training they have. I would definitely recommend that you're seeing somebody who is master's level, because they're at least master's level, because they're going to be trained clinically, okay, in certain things, not just drug and alcohol. That's just my 2 cents. At most places, you can't really get a job as a therapist with a bachelor's degree unless you're only doing drug and alcohol work. So this is no shade. I'm just keeping it real. Okay. Excuse me. So those are just some things to think about when it comes to credentials and things. Cyan said that should have been considered an intentional tort. Yep. Just imagine what other clients she has harmed and or is harming. Facts. That is the first thing I thought about when I read that shit. I said, this is why I do think this lady needs to be reported. because this can't be, she said that's so effortlessly in the text. This is not the first time that she's done something like this. It's so horrible, guys. This person, you can tell they were very distressed, very, very distressed, and I felt horrible for them. Indigo said, after 6 therapists, I found a great one, which my family and I go to see her twice a month. This makes me so happy. I also learned many skill sets by talking to her and released life's challenging at the very same time. Thank you for sharing this, Indigo. And I'm going to tell you why this is so powerful. Number one, Indigo is revealing, sometimes, I've talked about this before, sometimes you got a therapist shop. Sometimes you got to explore and find a good fit. Just because somebody's not a good fit doesn't mean they're a horrible therapist. It just means it's not a good fit for you. It is okay to therapist hop if you need to find somebody that makes you feel emotionally safe and is the right fit for your what you're working on. Some clients, some therapists, the other thing that I noticed a boost in my skills when I took on a certain job, my initial training was mostly just talk therapy, right? And then when I took on other jobs, I learned actual coping skills to teach my clients. That is huge. Just talking is not going to get you where you need to go. As like therapists need to be able to help to impart skills to you, because you're not going to be there forever. Even if you're there for years and years and years, because some people want to, it's nice to have somebody to unpack with. It's really important that you get tangible tools as well. So that's something that I want to say. Thanks for sharing, Indigo. Rough Minds Popcorn said, hey, Pressure, I'm late. I'll catch the replay. I hope you're well. Congratulations again, hon. Thank you so much, Red Vines and Popcorn. Thanks for being here, love. Child, it's crazy. Zion said that therapist must got her license down the road there at the church where they handed out PhDs and other fugazi ish. Exactly, Zion. The same place where that lady got her fake ass PhD. I know exactly who you're talking about. Very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Red Vines and Popcorn said, I have encountered a therapist like that. I cussed her smooth out. And I am so happy, Red Vines and Popcorn. I'm so sorry that you went through that. Like, this breaks my heart when, oh my gosh, this lady said, I am not the one with several problems. First of all, that implies you're some kind of God. Therapists have issues too. You just don't need to know about it. Like, that's crazy. We're still human beings. For that lady to say that, it's just implying like a godlike, like, oh man, this lady is, oh God, it's bad, guys. It's really bad. Yes. Unfortunately, I don't do women therapists. Too many bad experiences. And you know what, Red Vine? Some people feel that way, and I feel you. So I've had both. This just sounds crazy and catty. It's so sad. It's so sad. Woo. Clyde's jealous of everything. Clyde, I love Clyde's name. It's so funny. The pressure cooker and little one. Thank you, love. Thank you. Baby cooker is almost here, guys. Almost here. Sister Crystal, Zion Movements, Mixology. Yes. Oh my gosh, God, like, whoo. Peace, blessings, and Thanksgiving for this Good Friday. Yes. Oh yeah, happy Good Friday, guys. I forgot about that. Walkard said, I believe in therapy, but I also know therapists are a human, child. Exactly, Walkard. This is another very great point. I am putting my whole mind, body, soul, nor trust in a living, breathing human soul. No, ma'am. No, sir. Message. Walkard, I'm starring this because you're absolutely right. This is an excellent, excellent point. Therapists are people. Therapists are human. Okay, this is what I just said. That other therapist made it sound like she was godlike. Like she don't got no problems. She said, ma'am, you're the one. Like that. Oh my gosh. Oh my, I cannot that this lady said this crazy shit. Excellent perspective. I remember one of the things that you're welcome, Red Vines. One of the things that one of my favorite professors said in my program was, you are not the expert on the client's life. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. The client is the expert on their life. And to the point where we had to work on drafting our professional disclosures. That's a document that you usually get from a therapist that includes consent and fees and different things. And what areas you can help people with. And she was like, you should not be putting in there that you're an expert in anything, which is in other fields. being an expert is important, right? Like if you do something for 10 years, you're considered an expert. She encouraged us to avoid that language. And I do think sometimes people get big headed. It's helped me to stay humble and to keep learning, because no matter how much you're doing and helping people, don't ever think that you are just above. Like it's just messed up. I really feel for this person, and I feel for anybody that's been through this. I'm so sorry. That is not okay. Exit immediately, and if you're so inclined, you might need to report them because that's bad. Mixology said not everyone needs to unpack trauma either. This is, you know what? I'm starting this too. Mixology Plus just said something very powerful. I had to learn this as a therapist. I'm going to read it again because it's very, very on point. Not everyone needs to unpack trauma either. Mixology is absolutely right. That's another topic for another day, but she's right. This was a wonderful, wonderful comfort pressure. I'll be back later to finish. Thanks, Wildcard. Thanks for being here, love. And thanks for coming back. Great info pressure. You're welcome. I really wanted to, this really broke my heart, and I really wanted to make sure you guys got this info. Mixology said, I like my current therapist, yet I wish I could find one that I had 10 years ago. She was amazing. Sometimes it's so hard when you work with somebody and then you're like, oh, but then your current therapist still sounds good. And you know what else is good that I ask clients whenever I meet with them? If they've been in therapy, I always ask if they've been in therapy before. And then I always ask them, what did you like about the experience in your therapist? And what didn't you like? Sometimes people don't have anything that they didn't like. But the people who tell you that they don't like certain things, I listen to them because I don't want to repeat those things with them. Because you can have good intentions, but you know what they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I ask them that because I want to learn from what they might not like. And if it's something unrealistic, which is very rare, if they say my therapist didn't answer my phone call whenever I needed 24/7, nobody's ever said that. Then I'd be like, well, actually, that's not a service that I offer. So, but it's really helpful in meeting with clients. I remember I had a client once. I'm just going to be honest with you about what I thought. And she came in and she said, Tamar, I've had, what did she say? 7 or 8 therapists. And I only liked one of them. That's what they said. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm doomed. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doomed. This client's going to hate me. There's no way I'm going to be on the hate list. Like with them type of statistics, it's a wrap. I was prepared for this client to come in and find something wrong with everything that I did, because I have had clients like that. And you know what? Surprisingly, that client ended up really liking me, even though I was convinced it was all a show in the beginning and the rug was going to get pulled out. And part of it was I took the time to ask, what was it that you didn't like about therapy with some of those people? And she told me, and some of it was really helpful. She, just like this other person, she said she felt like patronized sometimes, or like badgered, or different things. I listened to what the client said, even though I was scared shitless, and I was like, this client finna fire me. I still listened to what she said, and I still paid attention to those things. And it actually helped. That actually really helped, because again, I was convinced this woman would be like, you're going to be number 8 that I hate. And the one person that she liked. So it was really crazy. Oh, even experts have to keep learning and growing. Facts, Mixology Plus. I am an expert in my field, yet I am learning every day. And she's absolutely spot on. Even the experts have to keep learning. And I love that. It's so beautiful. I just appreciate y'all so much, Mr. Crystal. Yes, I was scared. I was shook when that client came in. Mixology Plus said, that's awesome. It gives both of you a chance to succeed. I like that. Absolutely. I should never assume that I'm, perfect and I got it all together. And, I even invite clients to say, if there's ever something you don't like, even though it's very hard for clients to say that, please tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I invite clients to say that, because it can really save a lot of heartache and awkwardness. And that's why I know from this text message that this woman, I know it took her a lot to say, I'm going to explore other options. It's not a good fit. Thank you. She was very nice. And to have this therapist shit on her like that is just messed up. How do you balance using questions to get info and not badgering? Oh, you know what, Clyde? That's an excellent question, because I still sometimes I get on my questions mode and I have to like, redirect myself. Like, okay, tomorrow you're doing too much. That's a really good question. So, um, to balance using questions and getting info and not badgering, it depends on the client. Okay, so some clients you can ask them a couple questions and you'll get some things out of them that will give you stuff to work with, and then you could just reflect and explore with them and different things, and use like guided discovery, right? Then you have other clients. Class, if you're talking about the type of client that's like, oh my gosh, I have clients that I dread my sessions with them because they literally give you nothing. I can have 10 questions prepared for them, and they could be open questions. You want to make sure your questions are open. If you're dealing with a client that's difficult to engage, make sure you're not giving them a bunch of yes or no questions, because a client who's able to and willing to explore deeper, you can ask them a yes or no question and they're going to give you more than just a yes. They're going to say, yes, well, actually, this is what happened. A client who is very hard to kind of break through, they're going to give you a yes and or a no. And that's if you're lucky. Sometimes they won't even answer. Okay. So it depends on the type of client you're dealing with. But I would say open questions help a lot. So, instead of saying, how was your birthday? You can say, tell me about a couple things that happened on your birthday. That's like a really lame question, but I'm just giving it like an example of how to turn a yes no question into something open, because it forces them to think. And sometimes I have clients who they won't even do that. Like, they'll be like, I don't know. So those are clients that like it depends if they're you kind of have to have a backup plan. You might have to have like something else planned for them, like a activity or a worksheet or something, because if you get one of those clients, and it depends on the day, where they're like, I'm not answering shit, and that's their pattern, you got to have a backup plan, because it's going to be a miserable session. And you know what's crazy? I found that some of those same clients. So I've said I had a client like this. He would always show up. He never canceled. And it would be like literally pulling teeth in session with this guy. He's like early 20s. And I would first thing I would do is I would revert to what were the goals that he set in the beginning of therapy. If he said, "Oh, my goal is I want to build my social network. I want to learn how to have friends," I would sometimes go back to that with him and say, "How are you doing on this goal? What are ways that you're progressing? Blah 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 blah." That helps a little bit. And then he was so tough that I would just get to a place where I felt like I was beating my head against the wall, and I would say to him, "So and so, I really love to ask client questions to help them know, learn about them and help them explore. But I was dead ass with him. I said, I feel like I asked you a lot of questions. And after a while, it doesn't feel good, because I don't want you to feel like I'm badgering you. I don't want you to feel like, I'm not harassing him, but you know what I mean." So I said that to him, and he was like, "Oh no, I like the questions." So then when he said that, it gave me room to be like, "Well, what do you like about the questions?" And then I said to him, "I'm glad, thank you for telling me that. But in order for you to get the most out of this experience, I'm trying to think how I said it. I basically was just like, here are some other things, here are some other ways, that you can like help me out to help you, right?" And so I told him to write things down before the session, because he would just come and just sit there. Our sessions are 50 minutes. And like I said, this kid always showed up. He would not cancel. So I'm like, why is he coming here? He doesn't talk. I can ask him so many, like, it's so crazy. So it really depends on the client. I know that's a long ass answer, but you gotta try all the different tricks depending on how hard they are. Excuse me. And then after a while, some people they get to a comfy place. On the topic of therapist awareness, I watched a chiropractor in treatment that realigns was working with a lady that had violated. I noticed that the first time he placed his hands on her shoulder, she flinched. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's another excellent point. So this is talking about Clyde's making a very, very excellent point here. This is talking about basically trauma awareness in other professions, right? If you do body work with people, or if you just do, if you're a medical and you do any movement therapies, anything, chiropractor, yoga instructor, um Reiki, anything like that, where you nurses and doctors, where you put your hands on other people, you need to be trauma informed, because not like, and even that, like, that means Clyde is very perceptive and notice that the client flinched, right? That is definitely a trauma reaction, and I bet you some people it goes over their head. If you can catch that, that is really good. That tells you take a step back. Sometimes it helps to like say, I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder, is that okay? Or like, I've seen different yoga instructors just come around and adjust people, and I can tell the trauma informed ones, because they'll say, hey, you're doing your downward dog. Not, they wouldn't say you're doing it wrong. Can I adjust you? They ask you for permission. And so even though somebody shows up for an appointment, you want to make sure you want people to feel, part of being trauma informed is making sure they feel like they have a say, right? Like, because if they've been violated, they didn't have a say. And so that is a very excellent point. That is so powerful, because it's not just therapists, it's also, you have to be aware in other professions as well. So thank you, Clyde. I was surprised he didn't tell her what he was going to do, but I noticed she relaxed and felt comfortable with him. He helped her a lot and she was grateful. And it's so powerful, like making sure people feel like they have a space and a voice is so important. That's really, really, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oakland Barbie. Hey, Oakland Barbie. Have you seen the charges for Kerrion Franklin? Because I've seen a lot of videos, but I haven't seen anyone pull up charges showing that he was arrested in jail. Cloud chase is real. Oakland Barbie, you nailed it, honey. I did not see any damn charges either. I don't know if it's because that's not as real. I'm wondering if like people don't know. Oh, I think Cup said that they don't know the county or something. There was some information missing, but people couldn't find it. They couldn't find it. And that's another excellent point Oakland Barbie is making. Shall, that's a very good point, because I did a lot of research and I told you earlier I couldn't find anything. So, okay, we are an hour and 34 minutes in. I have one more topic. Do you want me to save that for another live? It's about somebody who feels like they need Xanax. This is another LSA post. Should we save it or keep going? I can do that one really quickly, or if you guys are tapped out, I'm happy to do it in another live, because child, I didn't know it was going to take this long. So put a 1 if you want me to do it. Put a 2 if you're like, nope, save it for next time. I know there's only a few of us here left, but just want to give you guys the option. I wanted to get the bad therapist story out though, because child, I couldn't believe that ish. I said, what is happening? Kai said, I'm so excited to hear about your wonderful mothering with your little one. I'm gonna cry, Clay. I'm sure you'll make sure he or she feels heard and seen and aware. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Like, oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you, Clive. Mixology said, when Zion Movement said, oh yeah, do not touch me. Please ask for permission. Absolutely. I used to fight a lot, so I'm an empath, so I jump at times. I'm very jumpy too, Zion. And I don't realize it. Yep, I'm jumpy too. And I'm very weird with that, with touch and stuff like that. So I'm with you. I love when people are perceptive about those things. If I have a relationship with you, I won't be. But if I don't know you, I don't like that shit. But very excellent point. Okay, I'm gonna go into the Xanax one. Okay, I had a vote. And I'm gonna go into it, and I would love to hear your thoughts. And then I'm gonna wrap up because I'm bad. I got to get some stuff done today. But excuse me. Okay, shoot. Come on, don't fail me now, mouse. I got to get to this next page so I can read it. Okay, so this is another post on LSA. And this one really caught my eye. I'm not going to say the name. It was an incognito, so I don't want to out anyone here. Okay, guys. So this says, oops. I clearly need Xanax. This is how this post started out. I clearly need Xanax. I went to a therapist and she said I have anxiety. I keep telling the psych doctor I have anxiety and his dumbass keeps saying to go to therapy. Should I go to another doctor? It's not funny, but it is, okay? So I'm gonna unpack what I thought about this post, and I'm gonna give you guys some thoughts and tips as well. Child, my mouse is definitely dying. Let me just use the touchpad because it's just like I'm not going. Thank you, class. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. I have to run errands. Okay, love, you too as well. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate your presence. Good luck with your errands. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Much love. Okay, so guys, to start off your post by saying I clearly need Xanax. So this person has anxiety, and they said they went to a therapist, and the therapist told them they have anxiety. Now their doctor, it says psych doctor, which I missed before, so that means this is a psychiatrist, not just a family doctor. Is saying that she needs to go to therapy. Now, first of all, huge red flag. When I used to do drug and alcohol therapy, which was my least favorite therapy job, just being honest, there's people who are better at it and more passionate about it. I was not, so I needed to exit that scene. One of the things I learned about Xanax was that it's very addictive. And I would have clients who didn't have a history of addiction, and they would end up getting addicted to Xanax. That was like their introduction. Not everybody starts out like struggling with mad drugs. Like sometimes people get prescribed stuff and it's, they end up on a bad road. So first of all, if you go to any psychiatrist and you're sitting up there talking about something, I need Xanax. If it's a good psychiatrist, it is going to flag them because Xanax is highly addictive. And first of all, it's not like you're saying I need medication for my anxiety. You're straight up asking for Xanax. And I want to know how long this person has been in therapy. So sometimes psychiatrists will say go to therapy, which means that tells me that's a good doctor. That's a good doctor. Because a lot of doctors will be happy to just write you a script. If they're saying go to therapy, that's telling me maybe the psychiatrist does not think that person's anxiety is severe enough, and they can try therapy for a couple months or however. And then if they do need medication, sometimes they'll prescribe it for you. Some people can make progress with just therapy. Some people do need medication. I think if any doctor is telling you to try doing something else first, it's great because they don't want to put you on unnecessary medication. So to me, this post came off this. I don't know this person's history. It felt a little med seeking. And when I did that job, I learned so much about how people med seek. Okay. People will come up with like insane things to say why they need something, like the most elaborate lies. Here's the thing. I want to know why this person feels like they need Xanax and why they think their doctor is a dumbass for telling them to go to therapy. They're in therapy. So my thing is, how long have they been there? How severe is their anxiety? And why aren't you willing to try other things first? No decent doctor is going to, if you're in pain, they're not going to be like, here's the morphine. I'm going to prescribe you fentanyl out the gate. They're going to give you other things that are non-habit forming. They're going to recommend other things first, unless you have chronic severe pain, right? So I think this doctor was like, this is a red flag. The other thing is, if you have a history of addiction and they know, they will not give you a controlled substance such as Xanax. They will not give you an addictive substance because they're only making it worse for you. Any ethical doctor who knows that about you they're not going to give it to you. Okay. So the fact that they're getting bent out of shape about a particular drug is a huge red flag. So a lot of people ask them, well, look, have you taken anything else? So then later on in the post, this person says, I am not an addict. They put that in bold red letters. I have bad anxiety and I keep getting prescribed antidepressant meds. Because I think in an earlier post they said they took Lexapro or something. Antidepressant meds make me sick. Some people, it doesn't sit well with them. The only one that doesn't make me sick is Prozac, but it don't work. I don't know what to do because if I switch doctors, they might start over with the different doses of antidepressant meds. But the doctor I have just say go to therapy and take Prozac. Now, there's a lot to unpack here as well. So first things first, they're saying that they're just getting prescribed depression meds and they need anxiety meds. Some of those medications treat both things. It treats depression and anxiety. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think Prozac might be one of those that it's dual, right? Um I know it's mostly prescribed for depression, but I'm trying to think of Prozac also. I can't remember. Now, here's the other thing that I noticed in this post, right? Antidepressant meds make me sick. There's tons of antidepressant meds. If you have a doctor that is prescribing you medication, whether it's a psychiatrist or it's your family doctor, make sure you're checking in regularly with your doctor about the medication. Like, I recommend people have an appointment once a month at least, especially in the beginning, because you need to monitor the side effects of that drug. You need to see if it's working. They might need to change your dose. So I don't trust any psychiatrist that doesn't monitor your medication. So that's something to think about if you are taking meds for whatever reason, anxiety, depression, whatever it is. Make sure you're checking in about and be honest and open. Even if you don't think it's related to the medication, if you notice symptoms that you didn't have before, tell your doctor, because that's what they're there for. Because it may be that it's the medication is not a good fit, or you might need to adjust the dosage. So that's something to think about. To say that, what else did they say? It makes them sick. I don't know. Everybody's different. Medications affect people differently. I think it's very hard for people to find the right depression meds. Some people strike gold. They take something once and they're good. Other people, they gotta kind of like shop around. It's frustrating. It can be really hard. So I don't know. That I can't speak to that because I'm not that person. Then this is where the red flag came up again. I don't know what to do because if I switch doctors, they might start over with a different dose of antidepressant meds. That makes no sense. If you were already on an anti-depression med, it's in your records. All you have to do is request your records or tell your doctor. There is no reason for them to start at square one. If you already have, they're going to ask you for that stuff. They're going to say, what's your history of taking medication? Oh, okay, you took this drug. How much of it did you take? How long were you on it? This person is just, I feel like they're just making shit up because they want Xanax. Like, to say, and people who are willing to switch doctors that quickly over medication is likely med seeking, right? Like, that is a huge red flag. First of all, it's hard as hell to get a psychiatrist. Okay, it's a long wait list sometimes. I don't know. I think that sometimes people get ideas in their head, and you have to be. You can flag people even if you don't have that history. I think the way that this person presented this to their psychiatrist probably was a huge red flag for them, and I think that's probably why they're not open to it. Some doctors will be honest, some people won't. They'll just avoid and evade, what you're saying. Is it possible that this psychiatrist is not listening to this person? Sure. Sometimes doctors don't listen, and it's frustrating. They don't trust you. They don't trust that you know your own body. And so, to that, I will say that's why it's important to tell them about your symptoms, check in with them monthly if you can. And I would say, I wonder, most doctors will say, I want you to try therapy for X amount of months, and then we'll revisit this. Some people will do that. And if they say that and you're willing to try it, maybe they will put you on Xanax if they think it's appropriate. But maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just try different medications. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys let me know what you think. I'm gonna read comments. But that just, excuse me, that really was a red flag because I'm like, I need Xanax. I'm gonna switch doctors because they won't give me Xanax. Like, why would you want a super addictive drug? I was gonna say you might be better off smoking some weed, fucking around with Xanax, unless your doctor knows that is gonna be an okay drug for you. Like, it's just, oh my gosh, I can't. Okay, Oakland Barbie said, "Oh, Oakland Barbie is probably listening from the beginning. I can't find anything, so I think it's a lie. I think it's cloud chase for views and money, and it makes me look at Larry Reed with the side eye. I definitely gave him the side eye about that interview. Somebody would have been able to find his mugshot by now. Actually, Oakland Barbie is making a very good point. I didn't even think about this. Oakland Barbie, you're onto something. The fact that we can't find any of those details, could it be a cloud chase? I mean, he is on the show. You're right. I didn't even think about none of that. Oh my gosh. I don't know. You might be right. It may be all fugazi. So yeah, so that was my story, my other story from LSA. So I loved reading some of the mental health posts. Some of them are really, really sad. And then others, I think they're just good topics for discussion. Child, I keep trying to use my mouse. I don't know why. But if you guys have any thoughts about this story, excuse me, 1 second. Ooh, child. If you guys haven't thoughts about this story, please feel free to post it. But we're getting ready to wrap up. I cannot believe I've been on here for an hour and 48 minutes. It's been really fun, though. I have no regrets. It's been good. I just want to thank y'all because I feel like we talked about so much stuff. And most importantly, I love your input and I love your perspective on things. Everybody, different people share different things, and I appreciate it. So hopefully this was helpful. The mental health piece, there's just some stuff I wanted to say. Don't give up. There are good therapists out there. Sometimes people just aren't a good fit for you. Don't let that stop you on your journey. And if same thing with the medication, sometimes the doctor might just be looking out for you. Other times they hard headed, so you got to do a little arm twisting. But I hope y'all have a beautiful Friday. I don't know what your plans are for this Friday, but I hope it's wonderful. Thank you for being here. I love y'all so much. Thanks for supporting me, even though I'm not as consistent sometimes. Thank y'all for being here and having my back. I appreciate y'all. I'm sending you love from me, Chef and Baby Cooker. I hope y'all have a beautiful Friday. I'm going to go ahead and just do the outro music just in case somebody has anything else they want to say. And let me see if I can find it here. Okay. Or maybe I will just do, actually, let's see here. Oop, looks like there was a comment. This is a great live. Thank you so much, Indigo. Thank you. Thank you. You guys helped to make it a great live. I appreciate y'all. Your insight and your comments are just so valuable to me. So I appreciate y'all so much. I'm going to just do the countdown and then we'll see if anybody has any more questions. And if not, then we're going to wrap up. All right. So Indigo said, and baby pressure. Yes. All right, beautiful people. I will see you soon. I hope y'all have a great Friday and the rest of the weekend. Enjoy your Easter if you celebrate it. Much love, love and light to y'all all. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.